Good afternoon everyone and welcome to Safari Live, here from the Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves from the magnificent Sabi Sands in South Africa. I'm Hayden Turner.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Pieter and it is a beautiful afternoon. It is the perfect temperature, it's blue skies, little white clouds high up, quite high cirrus clouds actually, so it might get cool later on. And as always, what a privilege to be here.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. It's great to have you on board. You are on the back of the vehicle with us. If you've got any questions for us, please send them to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can tweet us at #SafariLive. What are you going to get up to, mate?
Same thing as every day, I'm going to have fun. It is crucial for me to do that. So I'm going to be, I've still got a very strong feeling. We talked about it this afternoon in the sort of pre-drive meeting. I have not found the tracks of that leopard coming out of this block yet. So I'm however much convinced, I'm always 100% convinced there's a leopard around somewhere, but I'm fairly certain that there might be a leopard here later on. So I'm going to look around a bit. I want to go up to Buffelshoek Dam, see that side, but I am going to be around here closer to sunset. I want to find a leopard today, I really do. Okay. So that's my
Absolutely.
plan.
Well, I might come back and try and give you a hand on that, mate, around sunset. I'm going to go down to Treehouse Dam, then to Twin Dams, and then over to Arathusa, which is a beautiful reserve adjoining Djuma, and I'm really in the mood for some elephants today as well.
Ellies are nice, and maybe cheetah. I mean, I know we keep saying this, but one of the few places we do see cheetah is on the airstrip there. So, and it's been a long time since they've been there. So, you know, it's like when you don't see leopard. You know, every drive you don't see a leopard, you are one drive closer to seeing a leopard, and I think that's where we are now. You know, so it's actually good not seeing a leopard sometimes because it means you're just getting so much closer.
Yeah, absolutely. So that airstrip down at Arathusa is very, very open habitat for cheetah. We always go and have a look there when we go down there, so we'll definitely get onto that.
It's also a very good place for aeroplanes to land.
Very good place for aeroplanes to land.
You never know, you might see one of those. It's quite nice to watch. And guys, quickly, Tom is on camera. Brian is very good, by the way. We're just making sure that he's getting, rested up properly. We'll keep you updated, obviously. Tom, nice to have you on the vehicle.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Tom is also jumping in. As we said, it's a small team, but we can all do everything, and that's key. And
VM, the wildebeest.
So yeah, we're gonna have fun.
Absolutely. Right. So I'll check you later. I'm going to head across there now. Stick with Pete, and I'll catch up with you just now.
Perfect.
All right, mate. Have a good one. Cheers, guys. Keep going.
Here you go. All right. Handbrake, eh?
Hey, cheers, guys.
All right. Cheers, guys. See you out there, eh? Guys, I'm not going to sit and talk too long. I'm going to get my comms on so that I can talk to the game drive vehicles and I can hear Will. Back in the control, we have the team, Will Fox, Graham Wellington, the Alexes, everyone. And as, sorry, my color is looking funny. As Hayden said, guys, just quickly show you what a beautiful view. Just look at that view, and we're going to have 80 driving through it. These vehicles to me are as nice to see out here in terms of just the visual pleasing aspect of it as a leopard or a lion. So he's going off, he's going to go look at the wartholes. It is nice and hot, so wartholes are a good thing to check. We'll be doing the same in a bit. But what a stunning afternoon. Sorry, I did interrupt myself slightly there. Hayden did say this, but guys, please keep in mind, you are very welcome to ask questions. And it doesn't have to be, how much does an elephant weigh? It can be, what's it like being, growing up in Africa? Or what's it like living there? Or, why do you like doing this? Or you can tell us what you like. Maybe, why do you like Africa? Have you been to Africa before? It'll be lovely to know. Maybe just to kick it off a little bit, for those of you that want to, guys, please don't feel like you have to. I can be just as happy to sit back and enjoy the drive. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing just now. But for those of you that would like, just let us know how many of you have been to Africa and how many hasn't, yeah, something like that. So if you would, let's get an idea of how many people on drive today have been to Africa before. In other words, you've been on safari, or you've been to, and maybe specify North Africa, because always, Sub-Sahara Africa and North Africa it's the same continent, but it's not the same place kind of thing. And who hasn't been? In other words, whose first experience on safari, whose first time seeing an elephant. Sorry, it's not an elephant, those beautiful kudus. Guys, this is what we're going to be sitting with now, because they're just emerging out of the thickets, while you guys can let us know who's been here before and who's not. In other words, I would just love to know whose first experience on safari is actually here with WildEarth, with us in Djuma Game Reserve, and of course, something I'm very proud to be part of, with Nat Geo. So let's just sit here. We've got a bit of shade for Tom and myself, so I'm happy. And we've got some beautiful kudu bulls, probably the most regal of all antelope, just coming out into the open, which is not something you see every day. We did actually see these bulls this morning on drive as well. I said we might see them later on. The one that strikes me every time is that one that I think you're looking at as well. I don't have to point him out. Just look at that set of horns on him. Exceptionally wide. And he's not even in his prime yet. He's probably about 5 years old. He's still got about 2 years before he reaches his prime. So spectacular antelope. And just the way they move, you know, it's a, you could almost say it's like the leopard of the antelope. They just have this flowing, beautiful, graceful movement about them. I just have to introduce my competition for speaking at the moment, the woodland kingfisher that you can hear very clearly in the distance calling there. Tricky call to mimic, but I think you know which one I'm talking about. Tom, let's move a little bit. These guys are walking behind the bushes. We'll have to talk to them. That guy actually has the opposite there. He's got slightly narrower horns. And just look at that beautiful mane at the bottom of the neck, and also at the top of the neck running over the shoulders. Almost said running over the soldiers. My wife, who's one of the most brilliant people I know, mixes up the word soldier and shoulder. So beautiful mane on his soldiers, and he's got that backlit on him. And one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. So I'm just going to move a little bit. So there we go. We're going to go closer to them. Perfect. One of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. It's right next to our fireplace in the house. Was shot almost exactly. In fact, it was shot by those trees over there. A big kudu bull like this, one morning at sunrise at Juma, probably about 9 years ago, and it's shot with a kudu with an oxpecker on his back, and you've got that fringe lighting coming through the back of the antelope. And this is so special to see. It's not every day that you can get this close to these guys. Actually, Tom, I'm going to move a little bit more. Let's try and set us up nicely here so we can watch them. One of the biggest antelope you get, I mean, these guys will weigh about 300 kilograms, the big bulls. That's 660 pounds if you want to convert it exactly, 2.2. Big antelope, can jump incredibly high. I've watched kudu bulls this size, a 600 plus pound bull, jump 2 meters high. That's 7 foot. Beautiful to see them, and quite a treat to see them in the open like this. As I said, kudus like the thick stuff. Look at the comparison, those two bulls, Tom, the two on the left. The narrow horn bull and the wide horn bull. Look at how different that is. We often talk about it, I tend to mention it, especially with elephant, that genetics do play a role in the tusk size. In other words, some elephants have bigger tusks than others, and you know, some leopards have got more spots than others, that kind of thing. And with kudu as well, you get variations. I've even read some of the old books. I've spoken to people that live in the bush, and you get all these perceptions, and they say, yeah, you get the mountain kudus, and you get the plains kudus. And the plains kudus have got the wide horns, and the mountain kudus have got the narrow horns so that they can run through the bushes. But it's very important, the most important thing you can take on safari, more important than mosquito spray, more important than binoculars, maybe not more important than a camera, but it's close, and that's just because I'm biased. The most important thing you can take on safari, apart from a happy mood and your sense of humor, is logic. I'm just, that's cool, he's the big guy. Other one listening there as well. And the point of that is that if you take logic along, a lot of things will make sense to you. Animals haven't evolved to live the way they do by doing weird, random things. There's a lot of logic to it. There's a lot of system to it. And if you look at, for instance, the horns, you know, you might have heard somewhere that narrow kudus or narrow horns live there and wide horns live there. But if you see two different ones together there, then it's obvious that it's not. So much of what people tend to think they should learn about nature, they can actually just observe. If you just sit there and you breathe and you enjoy and you look and you take things in around you, you don't actually need all the books and all the knowledge. You just need to look and enjoy it and appreciate it. And if you do that, you will be amazed at how well you can understand it. a very good question. Hello, Ida. Ida wants to know, why do kudu have spiral horns? Now I've opened that door for myself, haven't I? Logically, I can't think exactly why. I mean, they might as well have straight horns. I've seen antelope do just as well with straight horns. I've seen antelope do well with curved backwards horns. I've seen ones with curved forward horns, sideways horns. And it's just probably the way that evolved best for them. It's great for horn wrestling. They can tangle and lock horns and test each other's strength. And maybe running through bushes, that spiral shape does push the bushes off you. Maybe that's worked well for them. And that's just how it evolved. So, great question. And I'd love to talk more about it, but HT's just found something very cool, literally. And enjoy it. We'll see you back here in a bit.
And this is why I love coming to waterholes, just to check every time, because you never know what's around the next corner. Check this guy out. What a beauty. Look at those tusks. Absolutely beautiful. There's another one moving around the other side as well. Oh, beautiful, beautiful stuff. There's something very, very satisfying about watching elephants drink. They definitely look like they're enjoying it. Really beautiful to watch. He's a beautiful looking boy, isn't he? I don't think this is our boy from yesterday and the day before, where Pete and I had that lovely encounter with these guys. This is a different bull. He's still, he's got bigger tusks, I think. We've got another couple coming around. There's a whole herd, I think, that are going to come to this water point. I'm just looking through the straight ahead of me here. Oh, this is perfect timing. Oh, I love it when this happens. This is just fantastic. They're just slowly grazing and browsing their way up to this water point. So, you know what? I might just park ourselves down in here a little bit and just give them a little bit of space, though. Oh, this will be nice. So, where shall we go? I want to give them this space in front of me right here. What I'm going to do is reverse up, folks, and we can see them all coming down. So we give them some nice space to come into the water. Just bear with me for a second, folks. Doing a little bit of frantic reversing here. Look at that little guy. Oh, coming over the hill now. That's the dam wall. Look at this little one. Such beautiful creatures. I think they're going to come around the other side here, folks, which is lovely. Maybe they are going to stop. I think they are. Ah, beautiful. There could be more. I think there's more coming as well. Just such a pleasure to sit with, elephant. We're right on the edge of the treehouse dam here, and this breeding herd with this gorgeous bull over here as well is turned up. He's going to go in the water here. It's just the enjoyment that they get out of it, and you can see that this is a pleasurable activity. Look at this little guy across here, rolling in the mud for him. Oh, love it. Look at the bull now. Sorry, I keep telling Liam to swap shots. This is what I love about just turning up randomly to a water point and taking a chance in the wild and going to see, and that anticipation, I get such a buzz out of just wondering what's at that waterhole. And sure enough, we've turned up and there's a magnificent bull in the water there having a bath, having some fun, and a small breeding herd over there. There may be some other stragglers coming up. Yes, there is. I can see some more coming through behind us. I think we're going to be surrounded again, which is fantastic. And just to sit here and be in the presence of these incredible creatures. Look at this bull. He's having a fine time in there. We've got the breeding herd just moving off now to have a little browse, and they will drink up to about, 20 to 30 gallons a day in a sitting, or each time they'll drink regularly.
Hello, welcome back. Lovely elephant, and I believe the hyena sort of slipped away there. There was a hyena drinking as well, and we sort of are on our way to HD's area as well, but just make sure that's not part of the plan. He's just trying to get signal there. Breeding herd is always lovely to see. For me, there's few things more fun to watch. Hold. It's an important thing to see. There it is. It's amazing how the eye and the brain works together. So sometimes I'm surprised by it. Sorry, I can't show you this because I can hardly see it. I mean, I glanced at it and then it took me a little while to find. There's a fresh leopard track here. And I do want to look at it a little bit just for myself. I'm trying to gauge the age on it. I'll try and show you, but you're not really going to see it because, as I said, I can hardly see it. Let me try and show you. Tom, I'm just going off comms, so just talk to me if Control talks to me, please. Good thing. I will show it to you. As I said, it's a little bit like some things you can see and some things you can't, but it's there. It's a little bit like that, so I'm not really going to be able to point it out, but I'll draw you a nice leopard track next to it so you know the shape of what I'm talking about. right in on my finger here, Tom. Right there. Basically, just so that you can see the track of it, all cats have got those 3 lobes at the back. So at the back of the foot, they walk on 4 toes. So the foot is pressing down, the front 4 toes are part of the track, the thumb is sitting up against the leg, which is called the dew claw, which is that nail that never is part of the walking. It's for when they grab things, it's very sharp. So you've got 4 toes, and the pad of all cats, from a small cat up to a tiger, lion, or a leopard, have got those 3 lobes at the back. So definitely leopard track. It's looking a little bit bigger there because it's softer sand, and it was walking down this. So I just want to get 1 or 2 tracks down this section to see what it looks like, and then I don't know what then. Then I'll know what's then once I've looked at that. Show this one as well, Tom. Let me show all the ones I'm circling, huh? Okay, it's nice and fresh firstly, so that's very good news. It is also, I know I was saying that there's been a track around here last night on the afternoon drives. Let me get this back in. There was Tom, if there's a count, just tell me. I did find 1 track of a female. Well, it's difficult to say because the 3 leopards we are most likely to see will be either Karula, which is the female, or the 2 young males, her boys, called Quarantine or Kunyuma. Quarantine is named after this area, so it tells you where he hangs out. And Kunyuma is the shy one, which is still a bit shy. He's my favorite leopard here now, other than Karula, who's his mother. The track I saw yesterday evening that I was looking for towards the end of drive, I'm still convinced that it was Karula's track, just from the size of it. It's slightly longer. It's difficult because at this age, the males are almost 2 years old. They will be 2 years almost exactly at the end of Big Cat Week, so at the end of this week. So they are about the same size as Karula, and the tracks are about the same. So we're going to look for this. This is good news. I've got a feeling this is one of the young males, so we might have potentially, possibly 2 leopard in the area that we can look for later on. But we're going to do that as the afternoon progresses towards evening. For now, more ellies, enjoy it, and I'll see you in a bit. Lost it at the end, Will? Alright, guys, no problem. Seems there's a little bit of a technical challenge there with HT. It's very important to realize because, you know, in my heart, I hope and believe that many of you are experiencing your first safari now because, you know, to be very honest, we would like millions of people to enjoy this, because if millions of people enjoy this, then we can take millions of people to all parts of the world and go show them places like this, you know, and this is such a cool way to experience the wilderness. So for those of you that don't know, maybe you've just joined us in the last few minutes, this is 100% live. I mean, this is literally as it happens now. If I was to fall out of this door, then it would happen and you'd have a laugh, and, you know, I'd get up and I'd be a little bit red and dust myself off, and on we'd go. So 100% live, and for that to happen, for us to be able to bring you here to experience this is no mean feat. Mr. Wellington that I mentioned earlier, Graham, has been working at it for 16 years tenaciously, and so it's something I'm very happy to be part of. But you must realize, obviously, we are in Africa, we are in the bush, anything can happen, and that goes for the leopards and the lions and the elephant, but that also goes for the technical gear that we're driving around in the vehicle. You know, everything from temperature to climate to rain to trees influence us. So that's all part of the ride. I hope you can enjoy it with us, and I know you can have a nice afternoon with us. So stick around. I I'm going to do my utmost best to find a leopard, and the rest of it will just happen as it happens. Because anything can happen. It's one of those tricky situations where, well, not tricky, but obviously I want to find the leopard, and it's by its very nature not the easiest animal to find. But that track is good. It's a good track. That I would dare to say, yeah, I would say it's this afternoon or during the day even, which is not impossible. I mean, maybe he came to drink. Might have missed it at the water, or maybe hasn't drunk it. Maybe he's in this area. This thicket here is very typical Kunyuma behavior, and what I've seen of him so far in the last almost 5 weeks now, he likes this thick stuff. So we're going to look for him later on. I might just have to go a little bit through the bush there. I mean, the ideal thing would actually be to walk in there, but it's very, very thick, and you wouldn't be able to watch me. So let's have a look at the water again, just maybe we can get a track. Yes, Will. Okay, great. I'll go there shortly. Will's just telling me I can go to Treehouse. Just a bit concerned about the signal there, but I'm sure it'll be hundreds. You know, this rubber arm needs no twisting to go to a herd of elephants, so I'll do that shortly. But I just want to have a quick look. This water hole again. So lucky to see that track. It's one of those things that, I guess that's what happens if you do it for years. Your eye and your brain actually starts working separate from your mind, which is your thinking mind, if you know what I mean. So you see things sometimes without, and if I was thinking about it, I wouldn't have seen it. Right. Tom, since we're going to be bumping along this little track, this is probably the second bumpiest piece of road that we drive, is this next little bit. I want to just ask you one or two questions, if you don't mind, because Tom is sort of new on the vehicle. Just to explain to you again, Tom is an editor, and like a lot of editors, he works a lot at night. But we let him out for a bit, and then of course Brian is not able to go and drive for 1 or 2 days, and Tom is jumping in. It's a small crack unit of people here, so we do crisscross if need be. So Tom, just quickly, because we need to fight about 30 seconds. Short impression of this, being on the vehicle.
It's an experience of a lifetime. I mean, like you say, anything can happen in the wild.
That's awesome. I didn't actually know what to expect from Tom seeing this. Tom has got a slightly different take on things sometimes, which I really appreciate. He's got a wicked sense of humor. He looks a bit like Ernest Hemingway, I think. But experience of a lifetime, that's a pretty good description of an experience. So I'm going to talk to Tom a little bit as the afternoon goes on, because I think Tom's an interesting guy to talk to. And since you guys are, have your eyes in his hands, guys, I was just talking to Tom here while driving along. We had a quick look at the waterhole, but I'm going to go to those elephants as well, see if we can't see more of them, and then come back here later on. I've got a feeling, I've used this word on while live before. It's an Afrikaans word. It's space Mars. Space Mars. Alex the Russian might actually appreciate that word. It's a feeling, but it's not just a feeling. It's this sort of intuitive feeling that you get. I've got a feeling that leopard's somewhere in this thick block here. It's very, very thick. In fact, I've got a feeling that it's Kunyuma as well, just from his behavior. The way he moved in here, this is where the track was, he curved into the thick stuff. Typical Kunyuma behavior. And I'm going to hope that we can find him later on towards sunset. We'll be back here, we'll check around. I might go through this block. If there's a bit of time, I might jump off and do a little bit more tracking. But until then, we're going to go look at the elephant. And I was just giving everyone a bit of a an insight into Tom and a bit of an insight into what we do out here in terms of this. What I said earlier, bringing you guys out into the bush. And I think the key to realize is that we're quite a small team. And if one guy like Brian at the moment is not able to get out there, we all fall in for each other. So please keep in mind that Tom is a great guy, and he's helping us out on camera as well. And that's part of the fun. Nee.
Get a special message.
I did. I've got a big lump in my throat. My little girl, I miss so much. He's on drive with us. Hello, said I got a ball. Papa's buying for you. They put long you buy.
So Pete, did you just get a message from somebody who's busy watching the show right now?
Not somebody, my daughter, who has watched a lot of times, but you know, when you're just watching, you talk to everyone. And to know that you're sitting there watching it, I feel so silly crying. I don't actually feel silly crying, it's just, doing this is so cool. And to have my daughter there, she's just over 3 years old. I've named her hyena after her in Dapandula. You see, the good thing is I do this. But to have her sitting there in Sydney is so lekker hier by Papa is. It's got a ball guy ook. And for you guys watching that maybe don't know what's going on now, I don't normally talk like this. It is just that this is what it's all about, is to be able to have people with you. I've said this many times on Drive. I've done this for years, 15 years altogether. And you see these amazing things, you have these incredible experiences. You so wish you could share it with people close to you. And that's what this does. I can have my daughter, my wife here, I can have friends here. Graham, I've known him for 10 years. Many of you I've known for 10 years. 9. And I'll get my voice under control just now, I promise. Don't panic, guys. Susie Q, nice to have you on the drive as well. But this is the magic. This really is, because you guys can talk about this afterwards. I can laugh about this, and I'll put something on Facebook and say that, you know, sorry that I broke down, but at the same time, I'm not sorry, because it's so special to do this and to share this with people. You with your friends, I know many of you that will after this say, oh guys, you know, Pieter cried on screen, it was so beautiful. And you can say that because you know me. You've been, some of you, for thousands of hours on Game Drive. So I'm going to breathe a little bit. Sydney, Papa's baie lief vir jou lekker hier so is. En Papa is regtig lekker, hoor. Moenie worry nie, alles is reg. Let's go for a drive. Let's get my voice back into control and let's go look at elephant. Wow. It does not stop to surprise me. A couple of thousand hours into it and something like this happens and I'm just hooked again myself. The most fun thing I've ever done. And I've done a lot of fun things in life. So let's go look around. Because it's in our nature. It's in my nature. And I hope it's in yours. I had this experience once, which reminds me of this in a way, and I'll tell you why just now. It's a very roundabout way, but this is the most shaken I've ever been on air, and it's because of joy. We had this walk once where we had this incredible interaction with elephants with a good friend of mine, Herman Gerber. And it was one of the most intense moments on all levels. Broadcast, signal, experience, animal, everything. during all of it, and this is something luckily I can do, is I just go calm. I just go really, really calm when things start happening. And I think all the games I've ever done, I've waited for this to happen. It had to happen. I get to a point where I can't get myself together, and it's such a beautiful thing.
That's the magic of having
It
this.
is. You know, I feel silly talking like this, guys. You know, if you just met me, you know, I've got a nice, deep, manly voice. You know, I'm an African guy. I'm 13th generation African. My great-grandparents discovered Africa. You know, and I'm not saying this tongue in cheek. You know, this is what we're about. You know, my first memory was camping at the age of my girl, 3 years old, looking at lions. And this experience, from a socially interactive point of view, is phenomenal. I believed it always, I still believe it. So it's super special. That's a better road for signal, let's take that one. It's super, super special that it could happen with my family, with my daughter, with my wife. 10-week-old son at home. And very glad it happened now, not during an ad break. So, welcome on the drive, guys. Let's go look around. Trust me, this is a very cool thing. Many of you will be doing this with me 20 years from now. I know this.
Pete, how is this different from normal game drive where you don't have this interaction with other people?
One day where this all comes together, but it's not different. It was just lovely to have.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us. Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
Welcome back, guys. Tricky spot there, and have my back. I think through all of that, the elephants have left by the look of it. Also, actually should maybe move to high ground where he's sitting. Hey, the goose. Guys, welcome back on the vehicle, and I just want to get to a good spot here where we can see this waterhole. We've made it here for all of that, and as I said earlier, thanks. Because that was quite a special thing. As you might have noticed. Not here, the elephants have left. HT and them are just trying to sort their technical things out. And we're gonna just sit here. Okay, let's just see what that does. Well, how's that looking? That should be good. As soon as we stop and we steady down, then normally... Whoa. There's a bug sitting on your eye. There we go. But we're going to sit here a little bit just to enjoy the view. There's not that much going on. There's a couple of Egyptian geese just climbing out. Tom, if you look over there, they are. At the moment, pretty much every waterhole has got an Egyptian goose pair on it. And just this morning, we saw the first goslings, or the first baby geese, at Voitela Dam. And quite soon we'll probably see these as well. Egyptian geese, you might guess from the name, were first seen or named, at least by Western people in Egypt. So you get them all over Africa. In fact, you get them in different parts of the world now. And I believe in some parts of the world they become a problem because they're such aggressive geese. I mean, obviously living out in Africa, they need to be able to take care of themselves to some extent. So I think in other parts of the world they sometimes go to now, they give the other geese a bit of a hard time. Can you hear that sound? Well, I have to tell you which sound, I guess. There's some cicadas making the sort of buzzing sounds, but there's a bird that makes this call. Listen. There it's going. It sounds like this. Called an emerald spotted dove or a green spotted dove. I like emerald spotted dove because it's got these emerald spots just on the wing. And I also like its Afrikaans name. It's called a bosduifie. Translated directly, a little bush dove, because it's quite a small dove, quite shy. You don't see them very often. We see them sometimes just sitting on the roads. But it is just one of my ultimate favorite melancholy type sounds out in the bush. It sort of struck a chord with me, with what I just experienced myself. So I'm actually very happy just to sit at the waterhole for a bit, if you don't mind sitting with me. And I'd love to talk a little bit. I'd love for you to maybe ask a few questions. I think Leishan and Sydney for now maybe hold back with the questions. I've already answered the first one in a pretty big way. But nice to have you guys here. And for those of you that have joined us for a long time, feel free to ask questions. It doesn't have to be, what does Egyptian goose eat? can show you they eat grass, like all geese. Where do they nest, or where the elephant's gone? We'll go look for the elephants just now. I just want to breathe a little bit, just be a little bit. Which sort of is what my job is here, it's just to be. So if you have any questions to ask nature-wise, you're more than welcome to ask personal questions as well. Will and them will vet them if they're not fixed or suited. But if you want to know anything about what this is about live, about being in the bush, about being in Africa, about being live in the bush in Africa, I can tell you one or two things about that. And as I said, we're just waiting for a little bit of a technical thing to be sorted out with HT. And one or two things that I've picked up a bit of experience with is signal. I've decided my book one day will be called Pieter, the story of my life. Sorry, let me try that again. This wasn't the first good debut, was it? Pieter, looking for signal, the story of my life. And just on that point, I might suggest that where Hayden is, it might be worth his while to go to a high point. I know that that's a very, very tricky signal area that he's in. It might be half the problem. Well, if you guys want to keep that in mind. And I'm going to move in a little bit. But the most important thing for us is that we want to make sure that you have a nice time here. And I'm going to talk to you about... What shall I talk to you about? You know what I'm going to talk to you about? Other day, and it actually bothered me at the end of drive. I told you I was going to tell you about the buffalo thorn, or also as known in Latin, the Ziziphus macronata, in Afrikaans, the blinkblaar waggebikkie, which means the shiny leaf. Wait a minute, because it's the bush that grabs hold of you. I'll ask Herman Gerber about it, that guy I spoke about earlier, with another very emotional experience, but on a straightforward experience. Guys, I just want to show you this very quickly. We can go back to HD very soon, but the other time I didn't get to it, and this time I really want to show you this. This is a very special tree, very, very special tree in many cultures, especially in this area, the Shangaan people and the Zulu people. This tree, called a buffalo thorn, and if you look at this branch, if you go nice and close there for this, Tom, it is so important that if they have family die, if some of their family pass away from home, they will take a branch from this tree and take it to where that person passed away, and they will go fetch his spirit with this tree, and they will bring it back on the train or the bus or whichever way they travel. When they travel, they will buy food for 2 people, they will buy a train seat or a ticket in the bus for the person, and this is what this tree is about for them. And it is because they say it represents your path in life. If you look at this branch, beautiful branch, this is a brand new branch that's been growing in the last few weeks. They say that in your life, look at this branch, it goes from thorn to thorn, or leaf to leaf, or node to node if you want, and each one has got 2 thorns on it. If you look at that one there, Tom, it's got a straight thorn and it's got a hook thorn, and the twig moves in a small zigzag shape. So what they say is that this tree represents your path in life. It is never straight. It does move a little bit and adjust itself a little bit, but you must always look to the future for that long straight thorn. You must always look ahead, you must always look at the future, but you must never ever forget your past. That little thorn pointing back. And that for me has always been a very special story, and it is culturally a very special tree in this area, the buffalo thorn. Most often you'll hear us refer to it as, Tom, watch out. Tom, watch out, or Brian, watch out, because these guys, I've seen many cameramen get stuck in this in a bad way. So we're quickly going to go to HT so that you can say hello to him. He's good again. I'm going to go along, and guys, thank you so much for being on this drive. It's a very special one for me.
Hi guys, sorry about that. A bit of a technical issue. Don't really know what happened there. One of the gremlins, but we did have those beautiful elephant down here, That's young sort of breeding herd that was up just playing in the mud, and then 2 bulls in the water, which is spectacular. But I'll try and find some more. Okay, let's try and find those elephant again. Going to try and see where those elephant went, because I'm quite keen to hang out with some elephant today. Or let me see, there was another animal down here by the water. What I want to do is I want to just park back down here, just jump out of the vehicle for a second and see if I can find its track. Okay, so I'm just about to have a quick look at this. I'm just disconnecting myself from comms control. I'm just unplugging. We've got VM on your comms, okay? Always feels a bit like gravity when we unplug. I just need to get my phone quickly and see if I can take a picture of this. I hope I can find the right track that I'm looking for. Have a little walk around the water's edge here, folks. I'll just have a little walk around. I'm just going to stay in this area. I'll have to project quite loud because I don't have a microphone on, so I'll talk as loud as I can. Really fantastic thing to do if you're with someone that knows what they're doing and you're allowed to walk in a particular area, and you're with a field-trained trails guide, is get out of the vehicle with them and have a look around the waterhole. The waterhole is like the bush telegraph. It's like it tells you the news of the night before. It can tell you what happened, where it happened, why it happened. You might see some really gentle prints of an antelope into the water, and then you might see these incredibly distorted antelope prints. That means that it might have run off very, very quickly, and then you might also piece together there's some footprints of a predator there as well. So basically it's a little bit like forensic science in a way. It's a bit like coming down and trying to piece together what happened around the waterhole that night, and it gives you a lot of intelligence about where you can go and what you can try and track. But there's one track I'm really wanting to look at.
Seconds back in the vehicle.
Okay. Now, I've taken a photograph. I'll explain why.
Seconds at DV back.
So folks, I just got out of the vehicle to have a look along the water's edge, and the reason why I did that is because it does tell you a lot about what happened here last night. But when I arrived down here with VM earlier and those elephant were in the water, there was another animal lying in the water here. Now, you know how I like my little quizzes and my little competitions. I'm going to show you a track of something, and I'm going to see if you can pick up what it was that was lying in the water. Listen to the question carefully. It was lying in the water, and when the elephants came up, it moved off. Let's have a look at the track. Right. Now, I'll be very, very careful with this and nice and still so you can get no reflection on it. Okay, you have to go in nice and tight, nice and tight. I'll be really, really careful with this. Okay, now I'm going to use my little pointer here to show you something. That, just there, right there, that little mark, is a giveaway. I'm going to try and hold it really still again, and I'll use my right hand so I can actually, it's like writing with your left hand if you're not. That little mark right there, folks, is what I'm trying to point out to you. Shall I drop it down in the shade, VM, so we've got no reflection, or are you happy?
Maybe drop it down a bit.
Okay, let me just move it down, folks, into the, so there's no reflection here. And we might try and get a better look at it. Okay, that's a bit better, isn't it? Right, folks, that is the track that I want you to try and identify. And that little mark right there, that little spot, and potentially that little spot there, is a giveaway. Now, folks, what I want you to do is I want you to tweet into us, send us a tweet on Twitter, and tell us what you think it is. Okay, what you think it is, and we'll pick a random winner there and announce, or we might announce a few different winners. But if you can tell me what that track is, I just saw it in the water, lying down, and as the elephants came up, it moved off. But that little spot right there is the clue. Okay, so today's little safari quiz, well, one of them anyway. Tweet us, email us if you can, but tweeting is really quick. It's just a one-word answer. I just want the animal name, but if you haven't got Twitter, send us an email with just one word and we'll look as well. Of course we will. You can email us at questions@wildearth.tv, or Twitter is going to be #SafariLive. We'll come back to it. I'm going to drive on, but a nice little track, and we might do a few of those today. So yeah, we had a little bit of a glitch there. The elephant were amazing in the water, and I'm going to try and find some more. It's that time of the day, 36 degrees, about 97 Fahrenheit or something like that. Around that time, that temperature, you'll find the elephants will definitely come down. They'll drink water as much as they possibly can. Well, normally once a day, hopefully twice a day if they can. Up to 60 gallons a day, which is about, here's my rough calculation again, 220 litres or something like that, if you're in a metric part of the world. But really, really important that they get water as much as they can. Some elephant in the desert regions of Namibia will travel hundreds of kilometres to get water, and they might only drink every 2 or 3 days, and that's a real modification to their lifestyle. Now, there's a couple of things about desert elephant, which is not the situation here, but it's still in context. That information has to be taught to the herd, has to be taught from the matriarch down the level to the rest of them, where those water points are, where to go to if there's a serious drought situation on. So that information is all passed down from the matriarch and shared within the herd, and it's the teaching, it's the learnings of the matriarch. Very similar we get from our parents or our grandparents. We get that knowledge, we learn how to cope in situations from them. I just don't know where those, oh, there they are. Okay, so I'm just getting a couple of answers come through here, folks. So I've got, can you give me some more, Control? A couple of more names for me? Great. Chris, Sharon, Racer, and loads of you got it. Heather Gerda, loads of you got the answer. Fantastic work, guys. And do you know why? If you didn't get it, it's completely fine as well. I can't find my little little porcupine quill, but anyway, oh yes I can, there it is. Don't panic everyone, don't panic, I've still got it. If you have a little look in here, ever so quickly, just to give you a bit of detail there. Okay, I'm going to keep it nice and still for VM so he can get in on there. I'll try and put a bit of shade over it, so, right, that little point there, you might have thought it was a lion or potentially, or not a cheetah, but or a leopard for that matter, but very, very different because there is claw marks, okay? And the hyena and the cheetah are the only two predators with that sort of pug mark or paw mark that have got, well, not the only two predators, but of that size. You obviously have jackal and things like that as well. But out of the cats, the only one would be a cheetah. So we haven't got cheetah at the waterhole. I saw a hyena lying down in the water, wallowing in that water, trying to stay cool, and that is the giveaway. That little claw mark protruding there, because the cats, the lion and the leopard, don't have external or protruding claws. They have retractable claws, and the hyena, jackals, and the cheetah have the non-retractable claws. So that's our first one for today. I can see these boys. I think I might go and say hi. What do you think? Shall we go and say hi to these elephant guys? It's always a pleasure. Let's see what they think. We'll just move in. It's these two boys that were just swimming. They haven't moved off very far from us. So what we could do here is just head up here and try and say hi and just sit sort of somewhere close to them. And I'm pretty sure that they were comfortable with us at the water point. They would have given us a very, very good indicator if they weren't. And it's okay, my boy. We're just coming up to say hi. It's okay, my boy. Everything's fine, fellas. You're two very majestic fellas. Hello, my friends. We're in a little bit of thick country here, guys, so this one on the right is quite the gentleman, and the other one on the other side is a little bit smaller. Beautiful. And now he can dictate what he wants to do. He's given me no indicator that he's concerned with us. He would have given us a fair warning. And the most important thing is you just pull up in a distance away, that they are comfortable. It's a little bit like getting to know that the signs and behaviour, and then he can make a decision whether he wants to walk onto us, walk around us. I don't mean walk onto us, but walk up to us, I mean, and walk around us. And I'll let him make that decision. We'll get to know him over the next 5 minutes, and then we might just see if we can follow on a little bit, if they're all right with it. I do have to say the country that they're walking through is a little bit tricky for us, so we might just pull back and go around into a little clearing that I can see. And that's what it's about. It's about finding these little spots that you can look at these beautiful creatures, giving them their space. I'm just going to reverse up a little bit, folks. A little bit of a shrub there that's actually probably more likely called a tree. Yeah, we've got a nice little view up here. It's okay, my boy. Okay, my boy. Sorry about all the noise. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. This is another great indication. See how he's flicking it like that? He's flicking the sand off it. Hello, my boy. I might just give you a little bit of space to walk down there because I can see where you want to go, so let me just roll back a bit for you. Oh, you're okay. You're okay, I think. You're okay. Isn't he magnificent? So he's about 3 meters away from us at the moment. Hello, my boy. So lovely. It's okay, fella. Just picking out those really tender young shoots out of the ground. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. There's a boy. He's about 2 meters from us at the moment. Good boy. He's up. Everything's fine. We're just here to admire you, my friend. Hello, my boy. Such a beautiful creature. Absolutely magnificent. Perfect, perfect bull elephant. So comfortable with us. Isn't that just fantastic? I love it. I just love it. Oh, wow, wow, wow. You are a beautiful guy, yeah. Hello, my friend. Isn't he just magnificent? He's just delicately grabbing out whatever shoots he wants. So he's right at the front of our vehicle now, folks. Right at the front. He's actually reaching for pieces of vegetation underneath the front of my vehicle here. This is just spectacular. You are an absolute beauty, my boy. I can't tell you, folks, the connection that you can feel right now with this animal and the trust is so fantastic. Less than 3 feet away from the front of our vehicle. Hello, my boy. You are a beauty. Thank you so much, buddy. Oh, wow. He just actually put his trunk underneath the vehicle and picked out a particular species of plant that he wanted and was completely comfortable with us. Sensational. This is what Safari Live's all about, folks. You're on the vehicle with us. You're right with us. You just experienced what I experienced and VM experienced. We all experience the same thing right now, right here in the moment. And that is the largest land mammal on the planet. Just casually reaching underneath our vehicle to pick out some tender young shoots. It doesn't get much better than that. Wow. I've got a great question. I'm going to tell a little story with this question just while we've got this beautiful bull also passing in the background. Taylor on Twitter has asked, if an elephant charges you on foot, should you stand your ground? Well, all the best guides in the world, and all the trails guides particularly, and there's some famous guys out there, amazing people, guys that I've worked with, Maria Swart, Steve Ross Kelly, and on foot, these guys are South African guys that I know, they're great friends of mine, and they would say that, absolutely. Stand your ground. I've been in a situation with Marius where we were completely unaware. We were watching an elephant herd at a water point, and another elephant herd came from behind us. We couldn't really get out of the situation. It was completely fine, but we stood our ground. There was no charging, there was no bad behaviour or anything. We didn't instigate anything, but we had to manage that situation. But let me just tell you about a funny story. When I was in Namibia and I was filming a series for National Geographic about 4 years ago, I was with some San Bushmen, and they are like the idols of tracking. They're the guys, you know, as well as the Shangaan here. These sorts of communities learn. They've got tens of thousands of years of tracking skills under them. And we were out in this very, very open area, burnt out in the Kalahari, and this. We were with the crew and the bushmen. We were looking out there and walking, and we saw these 4 bull elephants off in the distance. And then the next thing we saw, they were quite close to us. And then the next thing that we saw, they were running towards us. Well, we were standing our ground, and in my mind, I'm saying, stand my ground, clap hands and everything. And I turned around, and these really strong, incredibly knowledgeable bushmen, they ran. So when the bushmen ran, I ran. Those guys know those animals 10 times, 100 times better than I'll ever know. So when it comes to standing your ground, yes, and Pete will tell you a story about that as well. Stand your ground. This boy here is beautiful as well. But anyway, that's a little story. The books and the guides and everyone will tell you to stand your ground, but there's a point there, Taylor, where standing your ground as you've got about 5.5 tons running at you is difficult. It's difficult to do, but Pete will tell you from experience, he's got a pretty amazing story, and it's some footage that I've seen of him, and yeah, it is the norm. That's what you've got to try and do. And there's some great guides around, and they will tell you stories. Particularly when you're walking with them, they'll say, okay, everything will be fine, but just when I say stand, whatever you do, don't run. So that's the answer to your question. Yeah. But that situation right there, there was absolutely no behaviour there to make us worry about anything. Other than we had, you know, probably 4.5 tons of, you know, herbivore standing in front of us that could tip the vehicle over. He had no intention of it, because we are in the Sabi Sands and we're in an area that these animals have been habituated over a long period of time. They have never been, or they shouldn't have been, intimidated by vehicles, definitely not here. If they've come from communal lands or sometimes where they've had a bit of human-animal conflict, they may have some memories of humans doing things to them. But that guy there, he was like, you're just a piece of a part of the furniture. Wow, that was close. That was like, he reached his trunk under the front of our vehicle there. Love it. Love it. Right, we might let these boys be, and we've had our little encounter with them. They've been super, and might go off and have a little look around. See if we can find another track to do a quiz. Wasn't that great? Oh, I love elephants. Wow. You get such an adrenaline and just a high out of it. You just feel fantastic after an encounter like that. Beautiful boy. Really good lad. We're just going to have a little tootle around now and see what we can find. It's getting a little bit cooler, so the predators might come out in the later hour, but for the moment, let's just see what we can find. It's great to be with you guys. It really is. Every afternoon we get out here and we just love it. I love it to bits. I can't tell you how much I love what I'm doing right now. Of course, I miss my wife and son, but you know, I'll be seeing them in about a week's time. To talk to my boy yesterday, and his whole class was just a complete blowout for me, absolute knockout. And it's just incredible to talk to classes, and I really want to throw that out there right now. Any educators, any classes, any teachers' assistants, anyone involved in the education industry anywhere in the world, get your class in front of a computer, get onto Safari Live, and now get the class asking some questions. We would love to answer any of your questions we possibly can, so please, please, please do it if you can, and we'll really try and get to answer some of the questions to the classes. Temperature's dropping, enjoying this. A little bit of a breeze blowing at the moment. I'm just going to cut up Rebecca's Road and then over to Arethusa. See, have a little look around there. We'll hit the airstrip. We've got loads of time. I love it when I look down at my watch and I know that we've got an hour and 3/4 left. Brilliant stuff. Oh, nice guys. Just off in the distance. They're so cheeky. I'm going to try and roll down here nice and quietly. There's two warthog down here. They're notorious for stopping, and as soon as we get them in focus, they run. But I'd love to show you a couple of little warthog down here. Let's see if we can see them. Who spots them first? VM? My eyes in the sky there has got a pretty good sense of vision, VM. I can just see them here. We might get a little look here, mate. I'm going to keep the camera running. Sorry, there you go. You might just get a little shot through there, VM. Can you see them just there?
Where are they?
Just through there, mate. Two, they're just standing still. I'm not going to turn the vehicle off, because as soon as you turn the vehicle off, okay, I might reverse back for you a little bit. As soon as you turn the vehicle off, there you go. Sorry about the wobbling, guys. As soon as I turn the vehicle off, they'll probably run. We'll get a little, there we go. Just nice to see. Little tails in the air. Strictly diurnal, and they will be in bed when the sun goes down into their little burrow, which is normally in a termite mound, as we mentioned last night. Wouldn't it be nice to find a leopard? So this road is quite, it delivers this road. It delivers the most unusual things, Rebecca's Road. We sometimes see leopard, we sometimes see elephant, hyena, zebra, wildebeest. On one side of the road we've got vegetation that looks like it's been, it's quite established. On this side of the road, you can have a little look here, fresh growth that's come through. Now that's been a controlled burn by the management of the reserve about 3 weeks before we arrived at the beginning of November. It's got a really lovely fresh flush of grass. I'm going to try and say that, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Fresh flush of grass through there for the grazing animals, and it just gives a beautiful new area for animals to come to, and they'll do that on a rotating basis into different blocks. So I was just looking out the side of the truck there for any tracks. I just thought I saw a leopard track, but it's not, it wasn't. And those tracks you really do have to focus on. But I just got a question from Carson on Twitter. Hi Carson, and welcome aboard. Really great to have you. As it was Taylor, I do apologise, I didn't say thank you and welcome aboard, Taylor, before for your question about elephants too. And Carson's question is about elephants, and he wants to know whether the tusks have nerves in them just like human teeth. Well, to a degree, they're much stronger than human teeth, I'd imagine, Carson. They're pronounced upper incisors, okay, and they grow throughout their life. They start to slow down as they get older. They use them for so many different things, and you will see a little chip off one or a broken one, or sometimes just one missing, which I imagine animals have got nerve, you know, mammals, they've all got nerve endings, they've all got ways that they feel pain, and those mammals, those teeth would have the nerve endings that we have, but how intense that pain is, I'm not really sure. Of course, I don't speak elephant, but what you do feel, you see, is sometimes a broken one, Carson, and they'll break that off, and now that might be slightly irritating for them, and they might start to use the other side of their mouth, and eventually over time I'd imagine that would start to, those nerve endings would start to die, I'd imagine. And they do use those broken ones as tools. Sometimes I've seen elephants with a really sharp edged broken half tusk, and that would be the tusk that they would use to carve off bark from a tree. And the other one they might use in a battle, they might use to rest their trunk on. Loads of different things, but they are very, very important. They're weapons, they're tools, and they also look fantastic. Great question, Carson. What a great day. I get such a high from an elephant encounter like that. It's just magic. Sorry if I'm smiling off into the distance by myself. I'm not smiling off into the distance by myself. I'm smiling with you. I can feel many of you smiling as well, because I know how much we all love elephant. And we've always got our eyes out for cats as well. Of course, in Big Cat Week here on Nat Geo Wild, really great to be promoting all the different cats around the world as well. Not just African cats, but Asian cats, South American, loads of different cats around the world. Okay, can I get a question please, Control? I think it's about time we had another one. Just scanning through here. Just getting a question now. Okay, thank you. David on Twitter. Hi David, welcome aboard to Safari Live. Great to have you with us, mate, and really thank you for watching. David would like to know, do animals get reassured by soothing voices? Well, I'm not sure if my voice is soothing, David, but I know for a fact when I've worked in zoos with animals, it's something that an old mate of mine, I picked up from him, a guy by the name of Joe Haddock, and he was a sensational zookeeper, and I worked with him with elephants for many years, and if he's watching or if his wife's watching, he's just a sensational guy. And I always used to love the tone that he had with elephants, particularly anything, giraffe, any animal that he would work with, and particularly when he trained a couple of my mates, Glenn and I and Anthony, to train camels. He'd always speak to them as he'd walk in, particularly when he's walking up to the night house or something like that. He'd always go, easy, easy, easy up, there we go, there we go. He'd always say these fantastic words, and I think I picked them up from him about, probably 22 years ago. I picked them up from Joe, and it's just something I've always done whenever I approach an animal. It doesn't matter whether it's a carnivore, herbivore, or anything for that matter. I think just an animal knowing that you're approaching and not just just thinking that we're a sort of big steel box with some soft bits in the middle, that we actually are alive. And there is, because it's particularly important that you don't startle them. I just really find it soothing for myself as well. I find it really nice. It's not that I know that they're understanding or anything like that, of course not, but maybe they do, mate, I'm not sure. But thank you for your question, and it's a really, that's just a thing that I've always done, and I believe that maybe they, I don't know, maybe they know you're there a little bit more, and you're a living thing. Right. Impala Plains, and it's quite fitting. Impalas on Impala Plains. Beautiful little herd here. The youngsters just sitting in the shade there. Really nice. Nice to just sit and watch for a little second, let them know you're here. Remember my theme, folks, we can never give the impala a cursory glance. They're too wonderful to ignore. They're too wonderful. They're such a perfect antelope. Absolutely amazing design. Absolutely amazing design. Some books actually quote them as being the perfect antelope. Strong, elegant, fit, incredible leapers, incredible jumpers, jumping up to about 3 meters high. They can, so about 10 feet in a really serious chase, if they were trying to get out of trouble. Just going to wait for this little creche. Have a look at the little creche crossing the road. All the youngsters all together, with all their mothers around, just feeding off and just staying in the safety of that little creche. And that's actually what it's referred to, folks, in all the books, a little impala creche. This little one standing on the road here is beautiful. Lovely light there. Boy, have they put on some size, these little guys. They're about 2 weeks old now. Fit, strong, and growing, like really growing. Just wait for you little guys. Come on, little mate, off you go. Cross over. There you go. Nice work. Okay, mums, it's your turn now. Or are you going to stay that side? You going to go across? Don't be left there on your lonesome, ma'am. Okay. If you're happy, I'm happy. Right. Let's make our way over to Arethusa and have a little look over there. A few bumps here, folks. Apologies, I'm just looking at double checking which road I want to go in on, so please bear with me. I've just got my little map here on my phone, so just bear with me. Okay, I'll take the next on the right. So this road here just splits Juma and Arethusa reserves. We're just going to pop over to Arethusa and see what we can find. Excuse the little vibrations, folks. There's a lot of corrugations on this road. So, I've just turned onto Arathusa Game Reserve. Beautiful reserve, absolutely magnificent, stunning place. And I want to make our way down to the airstrip, but instead of driving down that, what we call a cut line, or it's a differentiation between the two reserves basically, and what a lot of the vehicles use to go to different reserves. I'm going to go through the reserve, and I think that's a much nicer drive. A little bit bumpy, but we'll be fine with that. And what we're going to do is make our way down to that airstrip. Now, obviously cheetah is always high on our agenda, but we have to be really lucky with cheetah. The cheetah are not as prolific, they're not as common, they're not as easy to come across. When we do hear word, they might be way on another reserve. But we always keep our ears open. I've got the game channel on now just to make sure if there's anything on Arathusa, I'll hear about it. And the guides are fantastic here, super guys that will always help us out. And basically, we're going to go and put ourselves into the regions or the habitats. Now, I've said this many times before, but I think it's really important to know. If you've just joined us and you've never heard me mention this before, I think it's really important to know. Cheetah prefer habitat that is open to hunt. Okay, they use their ability, their speed and their acceleration ability as one of their main hunting tools. Probably their most important, of course. But I have seen cheetah in country like this. I guarantee you, I've seen cheetah hunting in country like this, and probably had my most incredible cheetah encounter in country just like this. It wasn't sort of open, it was more wooded like this, so there's always exceptions to the rule, and that's just the point I want to make. Let's see if we've got any more questions, guys, because I think it's a good time when we're travelling through down to the airstrip to just take a couple of questions. Just listening to a question, folks, and we just got a fantastic question from Cameron, who's 8 years old. Cameron, hello buddy, and welcome to Safari Live. It's so good to have you on board, mate. You're 8 years old. If you're watching this at 8 years old, my friend, wow, you've got a fantastic future ahead of you, buddy. Cameron's question is, do elephants cry? Well, Cameron, I don't think anyone has ever been able to give the answer to that fully. Wow. Elephants are incredibly well connected with their family. They're like us, mate. They spend a lot of time with their mum and their brothers. What I want you to open your mind with there, Cameron, is that these animals are so intelligent. They've got massive brains. They've got massive brains, and they've got great communication and social skills, just like us humans. And I would imagine, I would hope to think that they have serious emotion, because I'm sure they do. But I can't give you a solid answer on if they cry. Some people think that they might, and others don't really know. But that's the answer that I can give you, Cameron. But let's hope that we believe that all animals have got, emotions and feel pain, and let's try and connect with them as much as we possibly can. But we also have to know that it'll be on different levels to us, because we are a pretty advanced animal. Speaking of pretty advanced animals, great question, Cameron. Hopefully that's answered for you. When I say advanced animals, we're not talking probably up there with the elephant, but we're going to talk about a pretty cool creature. Look at this. Oh yes, well, You know me, folks. If you haven't already met me about and heard me bang on about how beautiful giraffes are, you're just about to. One of my favourite creatures on the planet. And you, my friend, are a very, very nice looking individual. Now, I'm going to move down a little bit because she's a little bit nervous. A little bit nervous because she's just left, there's a couple of others down further on. There's a bull down further on, a big one that I can see. I love it when you just drive onto things like this as well. That's what it's all about. You just don't know what's around the next corner, and it's so true. It's so true. There's a beautiful bull down here I can see. We'll just motor up here quietly. Gorgeous, and you're going to see some really great... Oh, look at the size difference there, hey? Look at that, guys. Just have a quick look at that. I'll get my head out of the way. Look at the size difference between him and the female. I'm going to roll down a little bit more. Just let them get used to us a little bit, folks. Oh, and there's a little youngster here as well. Oh, every time I look around, I see another one. Just move forward for VM here. Just to the right, mate. Just through there. You can just see the back of a little youngster. Really young one. And these guys, we're not going to drive off the road because they're not quite as comfortable with us as elephants are. But let's see if we can just... see this bull come through again. He's right behind that shrub, but that little baby there might probably, that young calf might just pop his head out in a second. These guys are just browsing at the moment. They're just browsing. There's a mother, there's an adult bull, and we're going to sit with them for a second and see what they do. But I'm going to try and get a better picture for you, if I can. A little bit of a pickle here because a little bit of a spot because I can't quite see, and I will need to get VM a little bit better shot. Maybe right through this little gap here, VM. Is that good for you there, mate, or is that right into the sun?
Go back.
Go back a bit. How's that? Back further?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Oh, it's not fantastic, is it? If I go forward a little bit.
Sure. Disappearing.
They are moving off, that's the thing. Let me just get over here and we might get some nicer shots. A little bit tricky. There we go. He is a beauty. Just browsing away there. Completely comfortable now. I thought they might have just pulled ever so slightly off the road, not too much. Just a little bit off the road because we just had vegetation all in front of us there. And I wanted you to see the enormity, the size of the bull. Beautiful markings. A spectacular creature and such a beautiful design. Oh, they're completely fine now. I thought the youngster was going to give them a little bit of a bit of a worry and make them run, but the female actually might be moving back over towards the male now. So that's just fantastic to see. A bull, a adult female he was walking next to. Then you've got a youngster that we first came up onto who was probably about a year and a half, 2 years old, maybe. And then we've got that little guy over there, wherever he is. But he is about
definitely probably only about 4 or 5 months old max. Probably younger than that actually. He's a fine specimen, isn't he? My goodness. Magnificent markings. What a great creature. Completely designed for doing what he's doing right now. Browsing. I'm just going to roll down a little bit for you, Liam. See if I can get... Oh, I might just stay here. He's pulling his head out now and again. But maybe we can just get a little bit more of an angle on this. Is that better, mate? Yeah, that's better. That's better. Back a little bit. I don't want you to chop his tail off. So there we go. There's the full beautiful creature that he is. Wow, what a cracking looking animal. He's just really doing his job on that acacia there. He's a perfect specimen, folks. I have to tell you, he hasn't got his horns all knocked around, and he's a... So I just wanted to stay with these guys for a bit longer because I just think that they're so fantastic to watch. When they're comfortable and calm like this, they can be a little bit skittish, giraffes, now and again. But when you can watch them like this, only about 20-30 meters away from us, about, you know, just under 100 feet away, probably less actually, probably less than that, and they are absolutely stunning. I've had a lot of time with giraffe in captivity and in the wild. I've got a great mate that works, he's probably the giraffe world specialist, Dr. Julian Fennessy, and he's taught me, and his organisation has taught me an incredible amount about giraffe. There's loads to learn about giraffe constantly. People just take them for granted. There's many areas that their numbers are dropping, but generally they're widespread across Africa. And there's so much to know about them. If you've got any questions about giraffes, please tweet us now, because we've got these giraffes for a little bit of time now, and this bull is just magic. And he's just moving our way. Beautiful. Just getting a question through, guys. Sorry about this. Okay, I just got a question through. I do apologise, it was quite a long one, but it's a great question, and a really, really good question. RJ, who is Chris Rogue's nephew, and RJ, hello mate, so good to have you on board, buddy, and I'm really loving how many kids are watching Safari Live. This is what it's all about, guys. This is what really started me in wildlife, watching an incredible program that was from America called Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins, and you know what? That for me was one of the turning points in my life when I started to watch that, and I was absolutely fascinated with Africa. But RJ, if you're watching this now, matey, congratulations to you, and your question, I have to tell you, buddy, is fantastic, and not a lot of people ask this question. Do giraffes have hooves, or do they walk on their toes? Well, the answer to that is both. yes to both questions, actually, RJ. All hoofed animals walk on their toes, but they've got different ways of protecting those toes. And if you look, you might be able to go online and have a look at a skeleton of a giraffe, mate, and you'll be able to see where those bones go. And then underneath those toes are these fantastic hooves, and they've got a split hoof. You might be able to see it right now if Ian zooms in there. This giraffe is definitely kicking this branch out of the way. He's not happy with it. Really great little bit of behaviour here too. You can see how high they can lift their leg. And wow, I tell you what, RJ, I've been on the connecting end of one of those, sadly, when I was working in a zoo. And he's not happy with that stick being there. He's trying to kick it out of the way and break it off with his leg. But there you go. You can see that hoof. It's coming up in the air, and it's a split hoof, like a cow, in a way. Exactly the same if you've been on a farm, mate, and you've seen a cow's hoof. Different to a horse, because remember, a horse's hoof is a round, single sort of a toe or a hoof, and these guys have got a split hoof. Okay. So it's a fantastic question. If you can look up online and have a look at a skeleton of a giraffe's foot, you'll really get to know what I'm talking about there. And then you might get a diagram of where it has that hoof underneath. And this bull is just fantastic. He's fascinated with us at the moment. Really great. I want you to take note of those horns on the top there. Okay, now we've been through this before, but just to go from the top down, I think it's really important to know a little bit about the physiology here. Those horns, they're the only mammal born with horns, other than their close relative, the okapi. And if you have a look at the middle of his head, he's got one down the middle of his forehead there between his eyes, which are classified as a big horn as well. He's coming so close. This is incredible. He's just so comfortable. Wow, are we having a great day, guys? This is just magic. He's now come to within about sort of 10, I'd say probably 10 metres in front of us. That horn down the middle of the forehead there is to strengthen his skull as well. But then have a look at behind his ears. You'll see two lumps there as well. And when he puts his head down, you might see it a little bit more. You'll see two sort of protrusions there behind his head. They're horns as well, or classified as horns, and they're to strengthen the back of his neck. Now that is because he uses that big skull and those massive horns to fight for dominancy with another male. And they'll drop their head and neck in a pendulum fashion, hit their heads and necks together, and it's a behaviour called necking. I think we did talk about it a while back, but it's just a great time when you can see a big bull up this close to talk about some of these features. And that neck gets up to about 7 feet or just over 2 meters long. He's a really beautiful animal. Head down, his body there, you've got these massive legs, about 6 feet off the ground as well. He's a big bull. He's a really big bull. He's probably got to be up there around 17 feet, I'd probably say, just under 6 meters. And they're off. I think we should leave them be. I could talk about giraffes all day. I love them to pieces. They're just fantastic creatures. RJ, great question. Thank you, Chris, as well. Chris Rogue, beautiful question there. Great, really, really intelligent question, mate. So hats off to you. We're going to get going. Let's watch these guys walk off into the sunset here. This is quite beautiful. Classic Africa. Wasn't that nice, eh? How good was that, folks? Oh my goodness. I enjoy that so much, so much. Just watching where we're going, we don't drive over I've got to look after my cameraman. I don't want to put him, some sort of thorn bush into the back of his head. Thank you, Arethusa. What a wonderful, wonderful little encounter that was. I think I need a drink. Folks. Oh, that was great. Wasn't that great? That was just magic. That bull was just like walking towards us at one point, wasn't he? Just lovely stuff. Just let me I want to pick something up, folks. Just bear with me for a second. Just pulling out comms for a second. Okay, we'll talk about this later. It's a little creature I have. Actually, I'm gonna pop him back on the ground because I thought he was dead, but he's not. So I'll leave him be because I do have one. It's a little secret I've got for you. We'll talk about it. I'm just waiting for the right moment to talk about it. I have to find what I'm looking for. Oh, thanks, mate. Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, control. I just had my comms off. Have a look, what's the best way to get to this airstrip? See where we are. Okay, let's go. Okay, folks, whilst we're heading to the airstrip, if I find anything really interesting, we'll come back and I think we should cross to Pete and see what Pete's up to. We'll see you just now.
Guys, welcome back on the Jigger. Always nice to have in this vehicle. Just waiting a little bit for a few more people to join us that will be on the drive shortly. And for the next part of the drive, I do want to listen quite a bit. Yeah, copy, thanks. One more big makula madora. Cool. Which is Scott on the radio. Okay guys, well, now that everyone's on the vehicle, nice to have you with us. We're just going up ahead to, if you should be there, an elephant still. Scott just let me know as well. We saw him earlier. It's quite a big bull, really nice tusks. And we didn't stop with him. I saw him and just wanted to do a quick loop around. For the next part of the drive, we will be up and down. I'm going to be almost up and down the same place. I've got a very, very strong suspicion that there's a leopard in here somewhere. I went walking in earlier. I couldn't find anything. I got some tracks, but it is Kunyuma. He's a very, very sneaky leopard, beautiful leopard, one of my favorite leopards of all time. And I think our best chance of finding him is probably at the waterhole or the vicinity. Scott's going to come help us look around as well. For those of you that don't know who Scott is, he's also helping us present. He's sort of getting into it now, and great guy, good friend of HT and myself. So he's just getting an extra pair of eyes out there for us. And yeah, so we've pretty much got a relaxed afternoon ahead of us. Big elephant bull. I'm hoping we can get a nice close look at him. And I'm still hoping we might find a leopard now around this time, sunset time, as it approaches. So let's go look at this ellie, and then see what happens. Right, two things that I want to mention before we stop. Where's the elephant gone now? He's just here. Firstly, don't miss a show tonight, which, if it is anything that I'm thinking it might be about, I'm sure it's going to be brilliant. It's called The Last Lions, and it's on tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And yeah, by that name alone, it's something you want to watch. Imagine that was the name of the show of the last lions altogether in the world. And it's very sad when lions disappear out of one area, or very, encouraging if they manage to stay on. But imagine that was the show on the last lions in the world. How sad we would all be, how glued we'd all be, especially if it could be live and we try and see if they survive. So watch that, last lions tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time. They had a question which will maybe just remind me of again. Sorry, I was looking at where this elephant might be now. It's a 6th grade class. Actually, I remember it. It's a 6th grade class. Sorry. I told you about the buffalo thorn earlier, and I told Tom about it again afterwards. It is the worst tree that you can get stuck in. And I told him, don't try and push it away, just make sure you don't touch it. It's a very simple thing with buffalo thorn. It's a 6th grade class in West Palm Beach, Florida. And they are asking a little bit more information. This guy's very shy. Okay, let's just pull off to the side here. We've got to communicate with him now and say, listen, we're not disturbing you. He looks like he might be very wary, so we're not going to bug him as well. Let's just stop here for now. Nice big bull though. There he is. He's a little bit behind the brush. And let's just sit here for now, let him realize we're not bothering him, and then we'll go closer slowly. Guys, you're asking a little bit more about the topography of this area. And unfortunately, where I am at the moment, there's a lot of thick and tall trees around, so I can't show you views. If you're on drive again on one of the next few days, please remind me, and I'll tell you about it from where I can actually show you some of the land. But firstly, let's look at the bigger picture. Let's sort of look at the geography before we look at the topography. We are in Africa.
We're just going really slowly along this road here because we just saw a few tracks that VM picked up, a couple of tracks. They're a bit old, I think, but they may be lion, I think, but I think it's from a few days ago. Always good just to follow on and see. On these really lovely dusty sort of roads here, you can get a good indication of whether the track is fresh, because there's been a lot of traffic down this road today, and if there's a track, sorry, this side, if there's a track, an animal's track on top of a tyre track, you can pretty much tell it's going to be today's. No. Let's head to this airstrip. Wow, it's going to be a super sunset today, folks, as well. Just driving nice and slow along here. We're heading down to the airstrip because, it is an airstrip. The lodge does receive guests by light aircraft, and that airstrip serves many purposes. One purpose for the lodge, but for the animals, it's a great place. A little bit like quarantine on Juma. It's a very open area. You get a lot of animals on there in the afternoons, evenings, making sure that they have an open, very, very clear area to see if predators are approaching. I've seen a beautiful herd of buffalo, about 300 buffalo across there, and it's an interesting spot. I have been in light aircraft where we've landed. I had an email from an old mate this afternoon. Really lovely to hear from a bloke called Arthur Wixon in London, a really great man that I've taken and his wife on safari several times, and we landed in this really remote part of Uganda, and I remember pulling up with him, and there was warthogs and hippo and everything all over the airstrip, and we had to fly down low and buzz this airstrip and try and move these animals, and they're so conditioned or habituated to the aircraft, they just went, oh yeah, whatever, and they didn't really move, so we had to do a few buzzes of that, but really, really interesting what you've got to do in the bush sometimes to get on the ground.
been really great to have you today, folks. I have to say, every day is wonderful, but I just love the interaction between the engagement. It's just fantastic. Twitter and all these other mediums that we have, and email, and be broadcasting live to you from here on Nat Geo Wild and online, and everything that we do here on Safari Live is about you, basically. We wouldn't be here without you, and it's such a buzz. It's the most fantastic feeling on the planet. I don't think I really want to do anything else than this. It's just magic. Okay, we're going down a little dip here, folks. I hope the signal doesn't break up. I'll take it nice and slow. Bit of a bump here, folks, just hold on. Yeah, old Marlon Perkins, hey? Wild Kingdom years ago. I'll never forget that guy. I watched him for so many years on television as a kid. So I really relate to the kids that are watching today, and not comparing myself to Marlon Perkins, I assure you. He was a dashing man. I always look left and right when I cross an airstrip, just a bit like a train line. Yeah, please don't think I'm comparing myself to the distinguished Marlon Perkins that used to wear a safari suit like no other. I've never worn the safari suit, but he was a cracking man and a really inspiring man. And he had an offsider as well. He had another co-presenter, much like Pete and myself, I suppose. Pete is just a fantastic guy to be around, and so knowledgeable. We have so many great times, and I've got a new mate for life on that. But Marlon Perkins had another gentleman, and I can't quite remember his name, so I do apologise, but he was fantastic as well. So what we do here is I normally just stop. And I normally have a look through the binoculars, because what you'll find is cheetah normally sort of sit high on a termite mound or in a position where they can get a fantastic look around. And it's nice to try and spot them before, well, they'll probably spot you first. But it's nice just to have a little bit of a look, so you know if you're approaching one, you can go gently. And you know what? It is rare and it is tricky to spot them, but at the same time, you have to maximise your chances. Pete said it as we started this afternoon, sorry. Every time you look for a leopard, you're one more closer time to finding a leopard, and that's very, very true. Same with cheetah, same with everything really. The more you look for cheetah, you're one step closer to finding a cheetah. Just cruising along here slowly. You can see there's a windsock here for the aircraft, for the pilots to see if there's a crosswind blowing, and it's only got a very, very slight breeze on it. But I just did notice something up there. What was that? Let's just have a little look-see. A little bit quiet on the airstrip. It's going to be a beautiful night, everyone. A super, super night here in Sabi Sands in South Africa. I can see it's nearly a full moon. I think it's either tomorrow night, maybe, do you think, VM, or tonight? Tomorrow night, yeah. It's not quite full yet up there, but there's some beautiful glow starting to wash across that side. I always like to tell you about the smells as well. The smell that we've got right now is this sort of, I don't know, for some reason it activates, the coolness starts to activate this smell in the grass that is really, really sweet at this time of the afternoon. You don't smell it so much in the heat of the day, but as the afternoon starts to cool, you get this beautiful smell of the bush. Always looking. You just might see something out of the corner of your eye. Just want to see what that is, guys. I think it's a zebra. Yeah. Maybe we should go around and have a look at those guys, I think, if we can. Just have a little scan of the airstrip first. It's going to be a beauty, that sunset. So I just wanted to do a little circuit of this airstrip and see what was down here, but I also want to just show you this. This is a little bit too beautiful. We can't drive past this without having a little look at this. I'll set it up nicely for you, this shot, VM. How about that, mate? Actually, I could even do better than that. Do you want me to drive closer? Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? It's going to be a beautiful sunset, folks. We'll stop a little bit later and get another look at this because it's on its way down. We've got about 51 minutes to go, roughly, and that is going to be one cracking sunset this afternoon. It's part of Africa that we stop for. It's not always just about beautiful animals. Okay, whilst I'm scanning the rest of this airstrip, if we find anything really interesting, we'll come back to you. I'll also try and keep up with those zebra because I'd like to talk to you a bit about zebra later if we get a chance. If not tonight, tomorrow. But let's cross to Pete and see what he's up to. We'll see you just now.
Well guys, welcome back. Sorry about disappearing earlier. It's one of those technical challenges, but everything's sorted out. And at the same time, sorry, Andrew's just calling me, one of the game drivers. I'll speak to him just now. That elephant, we went closer to him again, but he was just a little bit nervous. And I really, there's one thing I don't like doing. It's pressuring any kind of animal. You know, if the animal is habituated and doesn't mind, then you can do whatever around them because they don't care. But if it is making them a little bit nervous, the elephant was moving off. He also had a slightly shorter trunk, presumably from a snare or an accident long time ago. He was 100% fine, but he just didn't feel like spending time with us, so I just decided to leave him. But that has given us the chance to come up to a slightly higher point where we can get a bit of a view so that I can finish answering your questions, all you 6th graders, about the geography. But let me just quickly call Andrew back. He is helping us look around for leopards at the moment. Andrew again. I think it's one of the Madonna Mampimpans between Ingaskaya and Twin Dams Road, Famba towards Voitela Dam direction in Magmakulish Latin. Okay, copy, thanks. Look at these birds, really pretty. Helmeted guinea fowl. If you look very carefully, you'll see they've got these blue, so the blue head, but on top of the blue head there's like a red, looks like those old Roman helmets that the Romans used to wear way back in the day, with a comb on top or a brush on top. Lovely area this. I'm just going to roll slightly forward. Just for you guys, as I said, this is a slightly better place to talk about the geography. I think you lost me around about when I said let's start with the geography and then answer the topography question. I was thinking 6th grade, you guys are about 12 years old. So geography would be where we are relative to, you know, each other and the world. And topography would describe exactly what we're looking at. Now, if you look around, I think we just do a very slow pan, Tom, just from the left there. In fact, we can start all the way to the left. We are very close to Wojtyla Lodge at the moment. So you can see a little light there. That's where Wojtyla Lodge is situated, going down to the waterhole. Now, quick geography roundup. We are in Africa, which is the continent, and we are in southern Africa on the southeastern part, close to Mozambique. So way down the bottom end of Africa, sort of, but a little bit to the right-hand side if you're looking at the map. South Africa is broken into many different biomes. Biomes would be sort of different natural areas or habitats being grass or trees or desert or jungle or forest or whatever. And in this part that we are in, we refer to typically as, let me just duck down there for you, we refer to as the low veld. And that's because topography-wise, or topographically speaking, we are in the low veld, the lower area, low obviously from altitude. We had about 300 meters or so, not very high above sea level. It's about 900 feet, give or take. And then veld just means bush. This is veld, what we're looking at now. The higher veld, just behind us, not that far away, 60 kilometers, you've got the mountain escarpment going up to the high veld, exactly the same thing, just high altitude. And the topography where we are specific, let's get a bit of a seat here. I'll get my comms around. There we go. No, not yet. That's better. Well, firstly, the topography here, there's no great mountains or great hills. If you go further into Sabi Sands to the south, about 25 kilometers or so down towards Ulusaba, there's a few small hills. But typically it's very much this sort of rolling, you know, undulating, it's not hills, it's not plains, it's sort of a mixture of just of rolling land. I mean, it's not even hills, but it's got great habitat. So you've got this wonderful grass and bushveld mixture. So you've got lots of broadleaf plants, so again plants with broad leaves, which makes for good browsing, kudu, impala and giraffe and so on, with lots of good grazing in between. And the kind of climate we have, we've got no frost, for instance. It never gets below 0 here. So the grass doesn't die in the winter, so it's great food throughout the year. And the terrain just has lots of these little drainage lines, like where the dam is in, all these little areas that the water runs off from. So there's no big rivers in this area that we're in. There's no big hills. It's sort of just this rolling landscape of sandy land, really, with these little riverbeds in between everywhere, just crisscrossing it almost like veins, all the way making it down to the bigger drainage lines, all the way eventually down to the rivers. So perfect habitat for big game and for wildlife as we've been experiencing. Take a little drive down to the dam. So there's some impalas in the distance. They're going to make their way down. I know Scott is checking that side of quarantine for us. And I'm actually literally just going to go down to the wall and take a seat. We said earlier how nice it is sometimes just to sit and enjoy the space. We're going to do that a little bit. And then I'm hoping what will happen, like what happened about a week or 2 weeks ago. We were sitting here looking at things, and the next thing we saw a leopard sitting behind us. And we're just going to talk a little bit and hopefully answer a few questions. Hey, there's Scott. He's helping us look around as well. So guys, please feel free to ask questions, send questions in. Send a number of questions if you like, because we are going to sit for a little bit and talk. I actually think the best way of looking at the moment would be to be relatively in the same area. And we have our first question. Great, thanks, Will. All right, great question. I'm going to just turn up ahead there. And it's Miss Angela's class. Unfortunately, we didn't get where you're from or how old you guys are. It was tweeted into us, tweeted, as Will said there. Just give me 1 second, Miss Angela, in your class. I just want to speak to Scott quickly. Standing by, Scott? Yes, but no problem. What's up? Yeah, Scott, you can look around pretty much anywhere quarantine. I'm going to stay in the dam wall area and that sort of bit of road up and down. I've got a feeling it might pop out at the water here, so I'm going to talk a little bit from here. But I'll see you now when you come past. Right, guys, you on my right, that side. Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. This is Scott coming along. Juma and them helping us this afternoon. They don't have game drives out, so they said Scott can go look around.
I'll just check down the side.
Have a look down there. Maybe there's something, and then I'm just going to be around here. I'm hoping it comes to us rather than us to them. Right. That's Scott Dyson. He's doing the morning drives with us as well. Sunrise drives. So, Miss Angela, I haven't ignored you, I promise. Guys, just if you tweet in, especially when you tweet us, always try and remember to let us know where you're from. Perfect. 4th grade. Thank you, Will. 4th grade, so you guys are what, about 10 years old, something like that, 10, 11. I'm having one of those moments. I just totally forgot the question. What's the question, Tom? Can you remember? Yes. Okay, it's because I had a specific answer. Miss Angela, if you guys can hold on one more gap, we just waiting for the guys to come back to us. And then I'll answer it. I know I've delayed a lot. It wasn't on purpose. No, it's peaceful, huh? Hippos, guinea fowl, impala in the distance, sun setting. Okay, now we can actually quietly answer the question. We were just having a quick chat with Scott when he came past. He's just helping us look around a little bit. And I've decided that the best possible way of finding this leopard, hopefully, is to, rather than go look for it, just wait for it here. We had this beautiful surprise the other night with the same leopard. I think this is Kunyuma. When he came down to the water and we were busy looking at other things, it was just great. This leopard was here. So, Miss Angela, we can answer your question now without further ado. Miss Angela's class, 4th graders, are asking, how do leopards see at night? And we were talking a while back amongst ourselves that you can give the long answers. I tend to give the really long answers. In fact, so long sometimes that, what was I talking about again? No, just kidding. So long that I sort of, interrupt myself. So I'm going to give you a short answer, 3 words. With their eyes. Is that what you... Miss Angela, is that sufficient, or do you guys want some more? All right. Obviously with their eyes, and I know you guys know this, but lions have got incredibly well-developed eyes for nocturnal vision. Obviously they need to see at night. They hunt mainly at night. Not only at night, they hunt very well in daytime. And you've got the eye itself. So in the eye, in the eyeball, you've got the lens in the front, and you've got the retina where the information sort of... And I'm by no means a scientist, but you can compare it to a camera actually. So you have a lens in the front, so that's your eye, which is the lens, and at the back of this you've got the sensor where the picture is formed, and that's where the light sort of focuses on. And there's 2 parts that play a role in this, and it's the cones and the rods is what they call it. The one helps to perceive color, and the other one helps to utilize available light, if that makes sense. With your cats, they also have what's called a what's it called again? Tapetum lucidum, which is this reflective layer of crystals almost that reflects that light. So when the light comes back, it sort of bounces it around in the eye a little bit, if you want, to give it some more strength. So that's part of the light perception in the eye relative to the lens and the retina and all that. And with cats, it's very well developed for light perception, not so well developed for color perception. So for a lion, they don't need to see that many colors. They don't see black and white. And I've read various things over the years. I don't know if there's actual fact that says this is what they see. But they see sort of very slight pastel colors is what the best that I've gathered from what I read. Because they don't need to see that much color. Humans, you know, us, monkeys, baboons, gorillas, things that eat lots of foods, omnivores, things that eat berries and fruits and need to know if things are ripe and if things are poisonous. We need to see all the different colors so that we can know what foods to eat and so on. Lions, they need to see, you know, where they're going and what they're hunting, and they need to see as best as possible at night. So their eyes are designed to see better at night. But then they've got other adaptations as well, other than the actual eye itself. So other than the lens and the sort of the workings of the eye itself, they have areas around the eye. And I spoke about this 2 or 3 days ago, actually. I compared it to those of you that watch football. I know in the States, American football is very big. And I know that sometimes the guys, they paint under their eyes. They paint this area sort of black like that. And I said the other night the same thing, but I think partly it's to be intimidating. You know, it's a little bit like like a war paint or something. Not that a 300-pound plus guy, you know, in full kit with a helmet running at your full speed is not intimidating enough, but they do put that on also, supposedly to reduce glare. Glare meaning if it's very bright, if it's bright and sunny out there, it takes some of the light away and it just absorbs the light rather than reflect it into your eye. And lions have got exactly that. If lions are hunting at night time, their eyes are really wide open. They have a lot of light around the eye, really sort of not white, but like a cream-colored hair, very soft hair as well. I've touched it. And it can make a stroke or an area probably about that wide all the way around the eye. And that helps to reflect light into the eye as well. Think of owls. Owls are a very good example. They've got these big discs which can help to reflect light into the eyes. I mean, for owls also that's part of hearing. That's another part of it. But for lions, that's part of if they're hunting at night time. In daytime, if it's very bright, they close their eyes a little bit. And then they've got these black areas around the eyes that help to reduce glare again. So in daytime they've got something that helps them as well. I want to quickly show you. Tom, if you can just come in on this for me, you can see exactly what I was talking about. I'm just going to hold it there for you. Look closely at the eyes. Okay, just hold it nice and steady there. Look there around the eye. So if this female was to close the eyes a little bit more, that white area, so normally I use a piece of grass, but I don't want to climb out now. That white area there will disappear more and it'll become darker around the eye. If they open the eyes wide, then that white becomes more prominent. Let me try and show you the same with a male lion. There you can see again that the dark areas around the eye, and when the eyes are nice wide and open, they get this light area underneath, and that helps reflect light in. If they close the eyes, I don't think, sorry, these are just pictures that I kept for in case I need to show you something, so the funny ones I've taken off, so I don't think I've actually got lions with their eyes closed. Let me just see there in the back. No, that's about the best examples of what I wanted to show you. So that gives you an idea of what I was talking about. You can see again. Okay, well I hope that gave you some answers. And, well, you saw a few lions as well. Cool. Alright, let's just go a little bit forward. Yes, Tom, that was the hippos.
I'm never sure.
Guys, I'm going to let you in on this little joke because that's the only way it would make sense to you, what I just said. I was tracking earlier, so we're just going to sit here for a little bit. Just want to listen and watch this, and then we're going to go back to the water again. I know it's prettier there, but I do want to see this area. We can drive slowly, I guess. I went for a little walk. I was following those tracks. You were with HT on the vehicle and checked with Will and them, and I just went for off about a couple hundred yards just to see if I couldn't find more tracks. I did find a couple more into that thick area, and great fun though, by the way. Tracking leopard or anything really, it's, you know, it really does just raise your attention a bit higher. You know, your alertness just sharpens, your sight sharpens a bit. It's brilliant. But when I got back to the vehicle, probably about a minute or so before I got back to the vehicle, the hippos called. And, you know, I like to mimic sounds a little bit, and a hippo is actually a really nice sound to mimic, especially on a microphone. You can get it sounding pretty close, you know, like you heard just now.
Hang on, Pete, is that you? Or is that the hippo?
So I got back to the vehicle, and Tom was like, Peter, was that you, or was it the hippos? And it was the hippos. So that's why I said to him, no, Tom, that's the hippos. Who knows what a leopard sounds like? Maybe some of you have been on safari. If you've been on safari and you've heard it, you would know it. If you've heard it, you'd remember it. But now it's not that easy to tell us if you know, because, you know, how do you describe what a leopard sounds like? How do you describe this sound? That was a terrible first attempt. I haven't actually done that for a while. Something like that. Geez, I used to be able to mimic a leopard to the point where you couldn't tell the difference. But I saw one. But who knows how that's described? It's described like that in the books. It would have been described like that to you by guides. We say lions roar, and the sound of leopards. Send us a few tweets if you know what it's described as. I'll give you a little hint. If this was a piece of wood and I was doing this, it would sound like that. The way they describe a leopard sound is that it's sawing, as in a wood saw. And it sounds very much like it. It's a very apt description. But why did I start talking about leopard?
Hippo sounds.
Hippo sounds. How did I get to leopard from that?
How different animals sound and how good you are at impressions.
Yeah. I did a very good impression of a father that misses his daughter like crazy earlier. Except it wasn't an impression, guys. That was very special. Just before we quickly, at the moment it's just you guys with us on the vehicle, and I like that. It felt really good to experience that, and know that so many of you sharing that, many of you not, but many of you sharing it have known me for a long time. It was a very amazing experience for me, so thank you for sharing it. Alrighty, Giga has got its full complement of guests on. Welcome everyone. If this is just recent that you've joined us for the drive, we are in Big Cat Week with Nat Geo. Very special thing for us to be part of it. For me personally, it's been a dream since when I was a young boy. And we are on a live safari. We don't know what's going to happen next at all. I'm hoping what's going to happen next is we're going to take a turn and there's going to be a leopard sitting in the road, because I've been looking for a leopard since yesterday that I know is in this area. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's Kunyuma even, a young male of about 2 years old. We are chatting a little bit, we're answering a few questions, and we have a few questions that we answer. If you do want to ask a question or send a comment or let us know something, you can do so via the Twitter feed at the bottom there. You can see it #SafariLive if you're watching on TV, and you can also email to questions@wildearth.tv. So questions@wildearth.tv or #SafariLive. Will, what's the next question? Will's back in control. He's the director. And Will is also from York, which means many great things. But I think, Will, was that Joyce or Jace? Joyce. Thank you, Will. Joyce from Virginia is asking, where do leopards hide their cubs? Joyce, you have just asked one of the best questions ever, because I have been pondering that question every single day for the last 2 weeks. And I do not say that lightly or as a joke or to make you feel good about the question. I have thought about that every day many, many times, because we have a leopard in this area who is having either very, very soon or already had, and that's what I think is more likely, her cubs somewhere in the last, today's Thursday, in the last 9 days. That's the last time she was seen. Her name is Karula. She's a brilliant leopard. I love her very much. I've known this leopard for many years. I've seen most of her cubs grow up, including not growing up, but recently when we came to do this, I met her most recent cubs, the 2 males, one of which we are looking for at the moment. They're about 2 years old, and she has almost always had her cubs somewhere towards the end of November, beginning December, and it looks like this year again was the same case, and she's hiding them somewhere at this moment. So you're not only asking a good question about leopards, you're asking a good question about the leopard for us in this area that we're looking for every day. And I hope before Big Cat Week's over, we've got 3 more drives with you guys. It's 9 hours that we have to find it in. Well, 9 hours and 26 minutes, 7 minutes. Where they hide them, Joyce, is, well, anywhere really. Anywhere around here. But the benefit of experience, and I've got some experience in this area. I guided for many years in this area, and I worked doing what we do now in the sort of early, pioneering stages of it with Graham and them for a number of years. And that's why I got to know this leopard so well. So from experience, we know that this specific leopard, Karula, likes to hide her cubs. It's more certain areas, it's not certain places. In other words, if there's an area with a rocky outcrop, like you find in East Africa for some places, there are these beautiful granite outcrops. That's a perfect place because there's nice little crevices to hide them in. At the same time, lions could also go there, hyenas could go there, so they've got to keep that in mind. In this area, Sabi Sands, there's not that many rocky outcrops, so they tend to just use thick bush, really nicely, thickly covered areas where there's some nice big trees for the cubs to climb to get away from other threats, like lion again. Leopard cubs are very good at climbing trees, so they can escape from, lion, hyena, and so forth. And there are, well, when the cubs are very small, there's 2 places that Karula likes. When they get a bit bigger, then she uses all these waterholes. And guys, I so hope that we can continue this for a bit, because when the leopards when their cubs get to about 3, 4, 5 months old, it's brilliant viewing, because she leaves them at these waterholes for 3, 4, 5, 6 days sometimes. I remember we once had 13 days in a row where we saw the 2 cubs. I think it was Mission and Duna around this waterhole. It was amazing. She leaves them either around Voitela Lodge area, which is where we're broadcasting from, or she leaves them up towards Guaripa and Buffelshoek Dam area. There's this sort of whole maze of these drainage lines that we talk about, these little stream beds, and it's just a perfect place. I've been in there a few times recently to go look for her. No luck yet, but that's a great place for her to hide them in. And the other one is just in this drainage line. In fact, let's go drive it. Why not? Let's go drive around. Voitela Lodge, back of Gallagher Camp, and we'll come back out here again. That's the other place that she likes to hide them. Another place out of interest, and this is an important thing to maybe appreciate or to understand, they very often hide their cubs close to, at or in lodges even. At the moment there is a case like this. One of the lodges further to the west of Mabili, there's a private camp there for the owner, and Salaheshe, beautiful leopard female, beautiful cat actually. She's got very young cubs, and she's hiding them up until yesterday. I spoke to one of the guides under the deck in front of the lodge. We've got these wooden decks at many of the lodges for people to walk out on, and under there is a perfectly safe place. And leopards, funny enough, once they get used to people, they can be around people without worrying about them too much. I've seen Karula, the female we just spoke of, in camp here. I mean, I've watched her standing in camp when we lived with WildEarth, where she was pulling washing from the line. My shirts and things that were hanging there, she was rubbing up against them and dragging them down and rolling on it. Still not sure why. Maybe the scent from the detergent, or maybe just the texture was nice for her. So the point is, leopards get very comfortable around where people are, and rightly so, because we all do share an environment, just as elephants do, and trees do, and zebras and impala and everything else. And 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, people had the habit of always hunting, killing, chasing, threatening these animals. But now we don't. There's great harmony now between all the different aspects of life out where we are, including humans. And because of that, these animals build up a trust relationship with us, very different from the relationship they had with humans 100 years ago. Which is an interesting thing to think about, because that is evolution in behavior happening over a very short period of time. In fact, since National Geographic was started in 1881, which is now, what is that? It's 35 years, if I'm correct. 135 years ago, the relationship between animals and humans have changed greatly. And not always for the negative. In many cases for the positive as well. And leopards and humans in this area is a great, great example of just that. Positive behavioral evolution between us and wildlife. Beautiful full moon up there. We're going to cover a bit of ground. Joyce, thank you for a great question. I'm going to cover a bit of ground now. Joyce's question actually just got me thinking, and maybe we should just do a little bit of a bigger loop in case that cat has slipped past. Although I still do think we're going to find it close to the water here or up on quarantine. But do a quick loop, takes a few minutes. We have about 20 minutes left for the game drive. I've had a fantastic afternoon. Thank you for sharing it with me. It's a big privilege. I wouldn't mind ending it with the leopard though. A leopard always makes everything feel even better. And that's a fact. Put that in there with the average weight and gestation period. Tom, have you been drinking water?
Yeah.
Good. I've forgotten a little bit, so. Oh, water can taste so good when you're thirsty. Right, so the plan is still the same as earlier. We're doing a quick loop around the back here, and I tell you what, excuse me, I just had a big drink of water. If we find this leopard, Joyce, I trust you're still in the vehicle with us. You would have played a direct role in us taking this road. I wasn't going to do this, my plan was different. And when I started answering your question and started thinking about where these leopards hide their things and where they like to move, I decided to come here. So let's hope you were part of the lucky charm this afternoon. She joins just like this. Let me show you. This is the perfect example. Oh, I think signal might just break up a little bit. Let me just get through. But look at the drainage line. Those are the riverbeds. Those are the drainage lines I keep talking about. I'm just going to stand 10 out the back. Thank you. Oh, I love this time of night or day. It's not really either. Crepuscular time is the way it's described in the books. Dusk or dawn. Late afternoon, early evening, and then early morning before sunrise. I'm just going to go under this branch. Let me show you. It's like a little bridge. Look there. The elephants pushed it over. Okay, brilliant. Well, before we go underneath this little tree bridge that the elephants created for us, you're going to go over to HT. As I said, this early evening time is beautiful. Lots of things start getting active. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed like I did last night. I know there's a leopard here somewhere. It's just a matter of finding him. So maybe I see you again. But HT has got some beautiful hyenas. I mentioned earlier my daughter Ndapandula, which is her Oshivambu nickname, is the same name as the young hyena. So enjoy it, and I'll see you just now.
Bending back.
Yeah, all the way.
Hi folks, well we've just turned up to the hyena den just to see if they were home, and they're very habituated to us, so never ever think that we're putting pressure on this female or anything. So relaxed with us. She was just sleeping behind the vehicle last night when we left here. A little guy over here is with us, but I just want to show you something beforehand, because this is a really nice connection now. And Ndapandula, the little baby that Pete named a while back, and she, not sure what sex it is at the moment, over there, just lying down. We'll go and zoom in. I just want to show you something about what we looked at earlier, and that was that footprint, okay, that footprint of the hyena. And we looked at it, and it was because we looked at, and we knew that it was hyena because of those claw marks. So that's just a nice silhouette there. Brown hyena, a different species, but we're looking at spotted hyena at the moment. And there was that really distinctive little claw, and another one just there. So this is what we were talking about in the photograph, just there and just there. I just wanted to show you that because I think it's a great way to just reconnect with what we looked at earlier. Now, I've got a little quiz for you. You know I like my quizzes. Have a little look over there and see that beautiful creature waiting for his mum. Looking out, any noise that comes through the bush he is looking out for. My question is this to you folks, and you can tweet in or email us, There he is. He or she's just getting up. And Dapandula. Name me 3 animals that may have used this burrow before the hyena. 3 animals that may have used this burrow before the hyena. If you can tweet us those or email us, we'll name out a few of the first, there's 3 that I have in mind, and I'm going to tell you the ones that I've come across in the past, but it's 3 animals that would probably use this den. And you're not going to be wrong if you send in some different answers, but the ones that I'll tell you that come to mind for me, 3 animals other than the hyena that may have used this burrow. So send us a tweet or an email, and we'll start talking about that, because that's a lovely little way to open up some questions on what could live in this termite mound. Beautiful little guy. So this is where Pete saw the elephant last night and the hyena, and there was a few